Have you ever wondered if it's really possible to start life over again after a challenging experience? Dr. Lewis is here to hold your hands through that journey. And she is the right fit to discuss that with you today because she is all about resilience, purpose, and creating a meaningful next chapter.
When I got through a hurdle, I helped others through similar hurdles.
Dr. Louise is a transformational coach and educator. She helps women to create a life that is rooted in clarity. Why do limiting beliefs have such a powerful influence over our lives, especially after divorce or relationship breakdown?
It's critical because what we believe impacts our behavior, and our behavior impacts our outcome. I am my own case study. I did not believe I was going to make it. And guess what? It was a self fulfilling prophecy.
Maybe you've been through domestic abuse, you've been through relationship breakdown, retirement, or even an unexpected life transition. Perhaps you're asking yourself, who am I now? Or can I really create a beautiful life after everything I've been through? If that's where you are today, this episode is especially for you because today's conversation is all about hope, it's about healing, and it's about discovering your next chapter. Arise and thrive. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Empower Single Parenting Podcast. We are here to inspire, to educate, and to support all the single parents who are rebuilding their life after a domestic abuse or after a relationship breakdown. I am your host, Peggy Barre, and I'm so delighted today to welcome our guest, Dr. Lisa Lewis. And she is commonly known as the Belief System Boss. Dr. Lewis is a transformational coach. She is a speaker. She's an educator. She helps women to create a life that is rooted in clarity, alignment, and purpose. After a 36-year federal career, she has gone through some difficult experiences. She's been through divorce, retirement, reinvention, and personal transformation. And she is now inspiring and empowering women to honor their past, to celebrate their wins, and to create a next chapter in their life. So, if you're wondering whether you can really start a new chapter, Dr. Lewis is here to hold your hands through that journey. And she is the right fit to discuss that with you today because she is all about resilience, purpose, and creating a meaningful next chapter. Dr. Lewis,
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your community.
so I'm just going to start with the question that I always ask all our guests. Would you mind to tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to the work that you do today?
What led me to the work that I do today, it's a lifestyle. I have had my own challenges. I have had to start over again a few times in my life. And I am a ferocious reader and researcher. So anytime I have found myself at a crossroad, anytime I have found myself encountering a hurdle, I have reached and looked in my community, outside of my community, or where can I get answers? Where can I get help? My faith is my foundation. The Bible is my tool and a guide, but also I found that the need was so great. When I got through a hurdle, I helped others through similar hurdles. And so that's why I say it just became a lifestyle.
And I bought a copy of your book. And when I was reading your book, I noticed that you've been through a lot. Your bio say it. You've been through divorce. You've been through some tough times, retirement, reinvention. And although we're going to talk about this book in a minute, looking back, what was the most difficult part of that season?
Is it the divorce that actually, as a single mom, the first one was a divorce, and I divorced when my children were very young. My youngest was still in elementary school. My oldest had just started middle school. I was still climbing the professional ladder. So there is never an opportune time for a relationship, a marriage to end. But that was a difficult season. That was extremely difficult. How was I going to make provision? How was I going to start over and raise them well? Because it wasn't their fault that the marriage ended. I didn't want them to suffer as a result of the adults that made a decision in our lives, but it also impacted them. So I would have to say that was an extremely difficult time for me in moving forward.
That resonate a lot because that for me was about 8 years ago when I left with my own 3 kids, and you're caught up in that environment where you don't even know where you want to start. There's one thing that you said is all about how are you going to survive? How are the kids going to cope? And you looking at, is it my fault? Is their fault? Sometimes the children start to even blame themselves. Is it their fault? And as a parent at that moment, you are fighting like two battles. You're fighting to keep your sanity intact, and you're also
Yes.
fighting to maintain the sanity of your children. When I read your book, there's one word that really captures me. And I was thinking, what does she mean by reinvention? What did reinvention look like for you personally?
So, what reinvention looked like to me is that how I was set up originally, having to rethink that because I was no longer a wife, right? But I was still a mother. I no longer had two incomes. I'm down to one. And so then reinvention after the divorce was, how was I going to move forward? I'm no longer that version of myself. I have to turn into a new independent version of myself in order to be able to continue to raise my children, to continue to advance professionally so that I could provide for them financially, and to wear more hats than what I was wearing before. So that reinvention came into play of, well, when we have a dream for ourselves and a vision for ourselves, the Bible talks about people perish for a lack of vision, right? And so the vision that I had for myself as a wife and a mother, that was done. So I had to reimagine and come up with a new vision and identity for how we were going to look and function going forward.
That resonate a lot. And for me, was that moment where I was just trying to find out, who am I? Who am I in this journey? What direction am I taking? And I feel so that is reinvention. For me at the time, I would have defined that moment as that moment of reinvention. There's one thing when I was reading your book, Single Mom's Guide to Love and Money, and you hit that two word. When we talk about single parenting, or we talk about whether single mom, single dad, or whichever, two words always keep us awake. For me, it kept me awake, Dr. Lisa. I couldn't sleep at night because I'm thinking, when it comes to love, the love failed me. And I'm thinking, what is love? And then when it came to money, I didn't have the money. At that time, I couldn't even work. And I'm wondering, how am I going to feed my children? Because I wasn't allowed to work because of the immigration system at the time. So you address two key areas, love and money. But you also suggest that something even more powerful stands in the way of achieving both. And that is our limiting belief. So my question is, why do limiting belief have such a powerful influence over our lives, especially after divorce or relationship breakdown?
It's critical because what we believe impacts our behavior, and our behavior impacts our outcome. I am my own case study. There were instances where I did not believe I was going to make it. And guess what? It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. When I believed that I couldn't make it and it wasn't going to come together and I didn't have the faith to believe that it would happen, it didn't. But when I changed my mind and took out the negative beliefs and replaced them with positive beliefs, then my choices changed, my behavior changed, how I showed up. So, for example, when I believed that it wasn't going to be possible for me to continue to advance in my career because I had two children who were very active in after school activities. And so I had to leave work on
Yeah.
time a lot of days because I had to take them to their different events. And when I believed that way, that it was going to be impossible, it was such a struggle. But then when I said, you know what? I'm not the first single mom to advance and to be able to move up the professional ladder. I can do this. I can make this happen. I have the skills and the ability and the talent. I may have to work on some logistics, right? I may need to watch it. I may need to ask for help. I may need to pull in community, but I can do this. And when I made that transformation in what it was that I believed, it was like there's an old proverb that I heard that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So it was like once that belief system shifted, then the logistics and the ideas began to show up that I was able to put into place in order to be able to continue to earn more, provide
Mm.
better for the kids, and all of those things. And so I said, oh, okay, so I see how this works. So then I started changing my mind and belief system around other situations in my life and to see how that shifted everything for me. And I was like, gosh, I've got to tell more people about this. In particular, my single moms always have my heart, but they're single dads too. So then I began to just share that information with as many people as I could.
When you told one thing that come out is choice,
Yeah.
just that slight bit of choice, the choice of thought, the choice which direction do you want to take. And this is where when I talk to a lot of single women or single parents, they don't understand the power of choice. We've got the power to make choices, but some of them feel like they cannot make that choice. And just hearing you, nobody needed to come and tell you that, hey, Lisa, do this or do that, or don't go this way, don't go that way. You just felt within you that, hey, if I can think negative, I can flip it positively. And whichever way I go, I will get the result that I
Yes.
want. So
Absolutely.
there's that choice, right? Most of our listeners today are looking at you or they're listening to us having this conversation. And most of them would have gone through domestic abuse. Some of them would have gone through a relationship breakdown. What will you say to someone who feels like they've lost themselves in that process?
To some degree, it's true. We have lost ourselves in that process. Part of losing ourselves is what prompted us to make the decision to leave in the first place. When we realized, the day that I realized that I looked in the mirror and the person that was looking back at me, I didn't like her. And I was wondering, where did she show up? Why did she show up? And I had to have an honest dialogue with myself that the environment and the relationship that I was in, the marriage that I was in, was influencing who I was becoming. And so, in order to be liberated and not continue down the path of the person that I was turning into, because I was extremely angry, unkind, because I was hurt, right? And disappointed because we
Yeah.
don't get married thinking that we're going to get divorced. Let's be honest, right? We get married thinking that after we raise the children and it'll be happily ever after and we'll go into retirement and old age together and all of the things. And when that doesn't happen, it's typically because there is a breakdown somewhere. There is abuse. There is part of losing ourselves. So, what I would say is that when we found that we have lost ourselves, is the perfect opportunity to decide how we want to be and who we want to be moving forward. Because once we realize, you know what? I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't even know what value I have anymore. And to be able to do the work, although it's hard, I will not candy coat it at all. It takes work, it takes time. I am a firm believer in getting the help that one needs, whether that's therapy, whether that is counseling, what you spiritual, medical certified life coaches, whatever it takes to get the tools needed and the support that you need to get the healing that's necessary. Coming out of an abusive marriage relationship is a challenge because part of the abuse has torn down who we are, has torn down our identity, has made us to feel less than. And
Mm.
we have to begin to see our value again and to see who God created us to be and be reminded of how amazing and wonderful we are and how we are capable and we have the capacity to do and to be and to improve and to heal and to be whole again.
And this is a thing that I always say to parents. It's like, we've got pain, we go through pain. Coming back to that choice, if you choose to see the gain in that pain, then you can turn that pain into gain. But when you choose not to see it and you're only focusing on the pain, then of course you're going to only be seeing the pain. And there's no way that you're going to get up one day and say, you know what? I am moving towards the direction of healing because you just focus on the pain.
So let's focus on it from the perspective of how do I fix this pain? How do
Yeah.
I get out of this pain? Because pain, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because pain is an indicator that something is not well, that something is broken, something needs to be addressed. I've been working, I'm 55, I'll be 56 in a couple of weeks, and I've been strength training. And the trainer had to tell me what I'm doing is training my muscles that haven't been trained before. And he said, so there's going to be some pain. He said there's going to be some pain because the stretching that you're doing and retraining your body to function
Mm.
in a new way is going to take you through some pain points. But once you've got adjusted, then that pain will no longer exist. I'm like, oh my goodness. So even still reinventing and improving, even at this stage of life.
Which is beautiful. It's beautiful that God has given us the opportunity to reinvent.
Yes.
There is never a time that we stop learning, whether it means learning to grow our mind or to grow our muscle. There is never a time that we see growing. We only need to say, you know what? If I need it, I need it. So I need to go for it. And if it hurts, it hurts, but I know that it's going to pay off.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
worth it in the end. So the temporary pain of coming out of an abusive relationship, it is temporary. This too shall pass. I celebrate you,
Yeah.
whoever is watching. If you find yourself in this position where you have decided to liberate yourself, I want to encourage you that, believe it or not, it doesn't feel like it today. It doesn't feel like it right now. This is temporary. This will pass. You will look back on this one day and celebrate yourself, congratulate yourself on the journey. And I want to celebrate you now. I want to congratulate you now. Now you get the opportunity of having a new vision, creating a new vision for yourself, showing up in a new way, and just seeing the beautiful way that your life will unfold. The life of your children will unfold, and the wonderful lessons that you've learned so that you can, in turn, one of these days, you're going to be surprised. You'll be like Peggy and myself. You'll be helping others come through the same hurdles that you've come through. So be encouraged.
Definitely. Thank you for that. And in your book, we're going to be coming back to it. Look, guys, if you haven't gotten this book, I just love the way Dr. Lisa writes this book. And I was saying to her, I wish I had this book 7, 8 years ago when I was, in my valley of my, because this book is like a Bible. It talks about everything that a single parent needs to know, from money to dating to belief to confidence building to children, all is in this book. And that is why I love it. So we're going to be promoting this book and we're going to be talking a little bit about it. But honestly, I'm just so excited. That's why I just raised it up. You've got
Thank
to
you.
go get your own copy. You need to get your own copy. So when I was reading this book, Lisa, you talk about clarity and alignment, right? What do these two words actually mean when it comes to everyday life?
Everyday life is the clarity. Clarity is necessary because if we don't see, I wear glasses, for example, I can see without them, but I see much better with them. Okay.
Mm.
And so clarity is just having a clear vision for yourself and for your children in whatever area that is, love, money, relationships. Because when we have a clear vision, anytime something shows up that is not in alignment, that doesn't
Yeah.
support that vision, then we have to set that aside. So, for example, in the book, I talk about love and money. And love starts a woman of faith, love of God for me. And second is love of self, because the Bible is very clear, is that we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. And oftentimes we totally overlook the fact of loving ourselves and caring for ourselves. So love of self. And then love, once we love ourselves, we love God, that relationship is solid. Then when we decide that we want a relationship and we want to find a love relationship, then when we're out there dating, if that person isn't in alignment with that vision that we are clear on, then we know, oh gosh, this is really a good person. It doesn't say that's not a good person, but it's that person doesn't fit the vision and plan. And so if they don't fit it for my life, then that means I don't fit it for theirs. So then we just have to move on to the next situation.
When we're talking about alignment, I know there's one important aspect of our life in this parenting journey, which is about finding love. And we have got a mindset like, for example, when I used to grow up, I had the mindset that when somebody comes into your life, so long as they're good, they can treat you nice, they can do all the lovely things that you want as a human being, that person is the right person for you. Now that I've gone through a lot of journey, I have realized that somebody can be good, they can be nice, they can provide all these little nice things that you're longing for. But if they don't align with your purpose, then they are the wrong person. And it's very difficult for single parents to actually let go of somebody with the wrong alignment, right? Because they're hanging on to the fact that the person is, what can you say about that, Dr. Lisa? Because I've seen so many ladies, when they do that down the line, the result is not good.
Because the one thing about us having a vision, if our vision, if we spent time, because in the book, I do, for everybody to know, I do share scripture. If it's not in alignment with the vision that God has given us for our lives, then at some point, it's not going to work. It looks like it's working today because it's a good person, it's a provider, all of the things that we say we're looking for typically as a single mom. But then somewhere down the line, as our lives begin to continue to change and take shape, then challenges will show up. So, for example, even when I was raising the children, and my children are grown now, they're adults and on their own. But when I was raising the children and dating, I was thinking about the fact that I was still climbing. I was a professional. So I traveled for work. I sometimes had late hours and things like that. So even in my dating, I'm being transparent and sharing my own story so that even when I would meet gentlemen, individuals, if we were dating, it would be like, oh, okay, well, I want you to cook dinner for me, or I want to do this, I want to do that. And I didn't necessarily have the time to do those things because the children's schedules and the demands at work and all that stuff. Then it was like, well, Lord, I want someone who recognizes all of the balls that I'm keeping in the air, and maybe they'll cook for me, right? And be like, hey, you and the kids come over and I've cooked dinner and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
it's a challenge because we do want to be in a healthy relationship. We do want the help of a husband, a spouse, and
Yeah.
that's normal. But because we have children, we have to be extra diligent and particular about who we allow in our lives and around our children, right? So it's not easy, but it's possible. Alignment is everything.
That is so true. Alignment is very, very important. So, for somebody who may be listening to us right now and who may be thinking, like, you know what, I would love to actually have clarity about my life. I would love to have some purpose. I would love to actually know my values and all of that. But how can they discover their purpose if they're still trying to heal?
Oh, that's part of the healing process. That's part of working with pastoral care, with the therapist, with a community like your community that you have for the single women and for the single moms, single parents. That's done through community because as you involve yourself in the healing process, it will come to you because that's part of what you're doing. That's part of what you're seeking and you're praying about and envisioning for yourself is, well, what kind of career do I want? What kind of job do I want? Where do I want to live? How do I want to provide for the children? Even things is what would seem as small as where we want the children to go to school, right? How we want them educated. When they go to university, what university do we want them to go to? For those of us who are continuing education, all of those questions that come up during the healing process, at the end, it's like brushes that are painting the picture of what our lives and our purpose are. It comes together with the answering of each of those questions and each counseling session, each therapy session, each time you're praying and reading your Bible and in community, that's when you get your vision and purpose for your life.
Absolutely. And what are some of the limiting beliefs that keep women stuck? I know in this book, towards the last, I think there are a lot of limiting beliefs that Dr. Lisa talks about towards, in this book. We're not going to talk about it, but what are some of the major limiting beliefs that keep women stuck?
One of them is my life is over. After divorce, a lot of us feel like we're just doomed. Like, our life is over, like we have no more value, but it actually isn't. We're just beginning. This is an opportunity for us to begin again. That's one. Second limiting belief is that we'll never find love again. And that's not true. If nothing else, finding love for ourselves is major and opens us and puts us in the perfect position to meet other people, a life partner. And then sometimes the love that comes in our life is in the form of friendships, right? In the form of community. We find community, we build community of support around us. So the fact, a limiting belief that we'll never find love is another one. Another limiting belief is in terms of career, right? I'll never have a profitable career. And that also is not true. A part of getting the vision for your life is also determining ways that you can earn income, right? And the ways that you can earn money. So I thought about you, Peggy, when you talked about not being able to earn income due to. So I think about the fact that when my grandmother divorced back in the 1940s, women in the United States, women who divorced, were not allowed to work if their husbands told the judge, I will take care of her. Then the judge, can you believe it? Then the judge would write in the divorce decree that the woman was not allowed to work because her ex-husband would take care of her. And so in my grandmother's situation, my grandfather said he would take care of her, so she could not work, but he didn't take care of her. So she had to find a job and explain to her supervisor, to her employer, that I have to work. My husband said ex-husband said he would take care of me, but he isn't. So she had to speak her truth someone to take a chance on her and offer her a job, even though there was a court order that she could not work, so that she
Mm.
take care of her 3 children. So, but that was her having a vision for her life way back then, and she got a job, and that job led to a promotion and another promotion and so on and so forth. But the fact that she had such what would look like
Yeah.
an insurmountable hurdle against her, but
Yeah.
she moved forward and charged forward anyway.
That is so true. And I feel that sometimes the limitations that are in front of us, some of them are self-inflicted limitations that we put it. And we're so scared to actually ask the question or even ask for help,
Yes.
and that is so important. One thing that I've found out with a lot of single parents is something called unforgiveness, right? How important is self forgiveness during your healing journey?
Self-forgiveness is another critical element because oftentimes we blame ourselves for the
Mm.
end. We had a role in it. We did. There were 2 people in the relationship, in the marriage, and both
Mhm.
people had roles in it. So we do take our responsibility for what we're responsible for. But self-forgiveness is critical because unforgiveness is like a weight. And in order
Yeah.
for us to be able to move forward, we have to release that weight, and we have to forgive ourselves for making the choices that we made and celebrate ourselves because we made a different choice and we decided to get out of that relationship and move forward. So self-forgiveness is everything.
So, Dr. Lisa, looking at the work you do, everything that you do through your book, through the programs that you run, what legacy do you hope women can create through the work that you do?
The legacy that is my hope and the goal for women that I work with and that I
Mm.
encounter either through my books or working with me is the self-love, the value that they possess, and to be able to be, do, and have everything that their heart desires, because the word says that God would give us the desire of our heart.
And, if you could give our listeners today 3 practical steps that they could begin this week to create their next chapter, what would that be?
First and foremost, ask for help. Get the help that you need, the support that you need, and asking for help. That will open some doors. The second thing is look at your limiting beliefs, what things have been holding you back, how you've been thinking about things, and find the counterpart for that negative belief. And the third thing is probably the first thing, but is look at your faith. Whatever your
Yeah,
belief system is, your faith is your foundation for how you build.
definitely. And what's one habit that has helped you, to have the success that you're having today? What was that one habit that you can share with us?
My daily habit is checking my belief systems every day because there are things that happen that would make me not believe. And I have to remind myself, no, I have to counteract a negative belief. That's every day. Every day is check my belief system.
Absolutely. And when we look at our lives, Dr. Lisa, there's one thing that we've talked about the aspect that we focus a lot on the pain. And when we focus on pain a lot, we forget gratitude, which is very important. And in your own words, what role does gratitude play in our healing and transformation, especially after divorce or especially being a single parent?
As a single parent, gratitude is every day waking up and making it through that day. Because as a single parent, sometimes we just don't even know how we're going to make it through the day. So,
Mhm.
gratitude is okay, God, thank you. I woke up today. So, this is another day and another opportunity for me to get it right. Gratitude in the morning and in the evening, because at the end of the day is, oh gosh, I'm so grateful that I got through today. Do this one thing well, and I am grateful. The next day, it's the same thing. I am grateful I woke up today. I have another opportunity to accomplish something today. And at the end of the day, I am so grateful. I made it to the end of today and I was able to do this one thing. And still, I do that even today, even with adult children.
That is so powerful. Gratitude is something as well that has really been more like an anchor to my life. I've learned a lot from it, that it doesn't matter what we've been through, if we're grateful for it, we will find a reason to celebrate even that pain. So gratitude is so powerful. So Dr. Lisa, as we round up and before we talk about how we can get your copy of your book, let us do some rapid questions here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
going to be either or all. So are you a morning or a night person?
Morning.
One
Mhm.
book that changed your life,
The
Bible. One quote that you live by.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Mm.
And what does being an empowered single parent mean to you?
It's not giving up. Every day, we're tackling it every day because sometimes we want to give up. Sometimes it's like, oh no, this is just too much. But every day, showing up every day, I'm going to show up today. And before we realize it, they'll have adult children.
And if one single parent is listening to you today and feels like giving up, what will you say directly to them right now?
Don't give up. Don't. Because the seeds that you're planting today and the work that you're putting in today will pay off. I promise you. The life that I'm living today with my adult children is much more than I ever imagined. And so I'm sitting here today speaking with you as a testimony that the seeds that you're planting today, I promise you, will pay off. They will pay off. My kids are so amazing. The love that we have for each other, the love that they have for each other, and how they look out for me even at this stage is just incredible. Could have never imagined this.
Well done. Well done to you. Well done. I always celebrate when we hear, because that is just the opposite of the belief that some parents feel
Yeah.
like, I can't make it. My children cannot make it. But hey, we are the testament to tell you that
Yeah.
you can make it. And
Yeah.
yes, you can also raise confident, purpose driven, successful children, just like any other person, except that voice
Absolutely.
don't tell you otherwise, because you can do it. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much. I wish we had enough time, but thank you so much for sharing. Hopefully, we might invite you again. There are topics in this post that I would want to call you back. I want us to talk about dating, because that is one thing that my community is just worried about. We're going to talk about dating. And please, if you permit me, I'll invite you again. Let's talk about that.
I would absolutely love to talk about dating. Yes.
Definitely. So thank you so much for today, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. But before we round up, where can we get this book and where can we find you?
You are welcome to visit Amazon. The book is available on Amazon. And for me, if you could go to my website, sboss, that's short for belief system.com, and you can find me there.
Thank you so much. Definitely, all our audience, if you're listening to Dr. Lisa, go find her. I will recommend get this book. It's amazing. Trust me. I've read it. I'm almost finishing it. It's amazing. I love the way she wrote the book. So thank you so much to all our audience for connecting and listening. And I am inviting you, everybody, to try and follow Lisa. We're going to put her bio in the description link below, and even the link of the book, we're going to put it in a description below. And for anybody who is listening to us today, whether it's your first time or you are our recurrent listener, we just want to thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing this episode. And thank you for leaving even a comment. And we know that life is hard. Every journey is not as easy. But you know what? When you have the right mindset and you can reinvent your life, reinvent. I love that word. If you can reinvent your life, then definitely you can become who you want to become. And before we go, just remember that your past does not define your future. Every step that you take towards healing is a gift to yourself and a gift to your children. And until then, keep healing, keep growing, and keep believing in what is possible. I am Peggy once more, and I love you so much. You are doing an amazing job. Keep going.